Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of The Big Shift. I've got an unbelievable guest. Next today is you knew John Gotti well. He's got an unbelievable testimony, and he also got acquitted of 3 murders, guys. I mean, I've got it from people who knew him back in the day. He was one of the most feared guys in Ozone Park, Brooklyn, back in the day. Hi guys, how are you doing? I've just got to say thanks everyone who's going into the subscription model, StephenGillen.com, all you guys out there who's getting the book. I've got another wonderful book that's coming out. Of course, my story is being made into a film. One last thing, I have to do this. On The Big Shift, we're all about empowering people and really healing the world, guys. Just to shout out to Scott and Marla out there in Arizona and our other friends in Canada who are doing wonderful things with this, guys. It's an intention stick which we want to give to certainly everyone around the world, but certainly every child around the world so they can live a life of positive intention. I want to put something else below in the links and that about the intention sticks, guys. Loads of children around the world, thankfully, we've been privileged to get them one of these. If you want to know more about this, please go underneath. There's going to be some links, guys. Thank you. My next guest is Robert Borelli. Hi, Robert. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. And it's an honor and privilege to be on your show.
So, look, tell us about some of the other Gambino guys, names of the day who you knew or you come across or inadvertently had some work with, people like Sammy the Bull, any of these guys who people would know?
Well, I mean, I was affiliated with a lot of people, not just with the Gambino crime family, but with other families, you know. I mean, there was always interaction going on between us, you know. It's not like they were out of New York. They were part of the neighborhood. So we did things together. So, I mean, you want to look Jimmyburke, you know, you could use Jimmyburke. I wasn't really friendly as close to Jimmyburke as I was to his son, Frankie Burke. And then also his daughter, Kathy Burke, because they were around my age group and, you know, just growing up in the neighborhood and me having the reputation I want, I gravitated a lot of people towards me. So that's some of the names. I mean, Fat Andy would probably be the greatest example because I'm only 17 years old hanging out with his son. And I speak about this a lot, even when I give my testimony in other places. And I say, he used to have a spread, which meant a meal for a lot of people every Friday night. And because I was with his son would go there and bring me and this other guy, Joey, with him. And it was very impressive how this guy Andy was getting so much respect from all these people, and they were big money people, you know, big earners, powerful people. And I was very impressed with that at an early age at 17 years old. Then here I am, 17 years old, sitting down with all these wise guys. Really, I have to tell you, I became a legend, so to speak, in my own mind. Now I'm affiliated with something bigger, larger than what most people are as a kid. And that's kind of how it escalated in my life. So we could talk about Fat Andy because I knew about him, Tony Lee, Anthony Ruggiano, or JohnAlite, Ronnie One Arm. I mean, Frankie Burke. You know, we could go on.
Yeah, let's. What was Frankie Burke like? Right, actually, like, did you meet him? You know, you knew his son. No doubt you met him many times. What was he like, Robert?
Me and Frankie used to hang out together after his father went to prison. Not too much before his father went to prison. When I first met Frankie, I want to be careful how much I say because I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, that's for sure. But when I first met Frankie, he was with his father. It was probably maybe a month, 2 months after the Lufthansa heist. And I was working the crap game, the dice game at nighttime by Mulberry Street. And him and his father came in. That's the first time I met him because I knew who his father was, but I never met the son. So that's the first time I met him. And then later on in life, through doing, you know, we got involved with cocaine, and that's how me and Frankie became close friends. And I'm going to tell you a story that most people don't even know. Frankie was the type of guy that would insult people, and there was this one guy that was old-fashioned Italian from the other side, and you couldn't insult him. It was great disrespect. And I remember the guy coming to me, this guy, I'm not going to mention his name, and he said, I'm not going to handle this. I'm going to go do something. And I told him, don't do nothing stupid, man. Don't do nothing. So I'm not going to allow you to do something with me around. That's for sure. Especially at the place that we were in. It's kind of like an after-hour joint that I ran. And then he respected that. But I told Frankie, be careful how you talk to this guy. And only about 4 months after that, I was in Vegas. This guy ended up killing Frankie.
Mm. You know, I mean, this is an example of that life. It really is, Robert. You know, you may know a little bit about my story as well. So, you know, I get it. You know, and it can be anyone at any time, just these little things, you know. But that's an example of what we choose and how we live, yeah, day to day in that life, you know. That's my understanding of it. Now, of course, Frankie Burke was immortalized in Goodfellas. You know, everyone would know who he was. And even the guys out there who may not know that name, they'll know the film and they'll know the portrayal, yeah? So as you went on in later life, because you was acquitted of another murder, there was 3 murders, Robert, yeah? Am I correct?
There was actually 4, 2 that I was under investigation about, but never got arrested for. And then back in the early 1975, I was arrested for the 2 murders earlier. And one of them I beat on trial, but the other one, like I said, got dismissed. And the other 2 murders that they wanted me, that they tried to put on me, it never stuck. So I never got arrested or indicted for that.
Yeah, I know you can't talk too much about this, and you know this is in past years, and you are where you are now. Look, I want to ask you some other questions because it's going to help clear up some things as well, because you was there in these days as well. So, what was your experience of JohnAlite? What was your experience back in the day of John, and what he was involved in, and what he was like on the street, Robert?
Okay, well, I'm a little bit old-fashioned than JohnAlite because I'm about 8 years older than him. So when I started getting involved with these guys, it was a whole different atmosphere, a whole different ballpark, to be honest with you. And when it came to drugs, that was one thing that I didn't get involved with at that point in time. I ended up getting caught up in it later on. So when I heard about JohnAlite, and then I heard a couple of other names affiliated with JohnAlite, I never heard the name before, so I was shocked to hear this name, and I was wondering who it was. And I didn't say, hey, I want to meet this guy or anything like that, but I ended up getting to meet him while hanging out in bars. And I didn't know a lot about JohnAlite at that time. He knew more of me than I knew about him because of, like I said, maybe through my kid brother and the reputation that I had in the neighborhood. Because my reputation was pretty big. It was pretty big in the neighborhood. And I think the thing that made me so feared is I didn't value my life. Therefore, I had no value for anybody else's life, if that makes sense to you. So if you messed with me, consequences could be great. And I didn't think about the consequences, what might happen to me afterwards. No matter who you are, it didn't make a difference. I was not going to let nobody disrespect me. And that was just the life that I lived.
No, I get that. I really do. You know, and I know how this life, you know, it sucks you in, and you know, you're really afflicted with a lot of darkness comes, you know, with this stuff. This is my experience, you know, especially with the guns and all the rest of it. Now, I know you had a drug problem as well. You went on, there was a drug problem. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the transition of that, Robert, and how that come about? What happened there?
Well, yeah. You see, remember I told you I'm old school, so we didn't believe that we should get involved with drugs. Well, when I started hanging out in Manhattan in like 76, 77, 78, worked in the crap games. These guys all were snorting cocaine. So now when you go to Mulberry Street, that's like another step above from where you're at. Because these guys, Mulberry Street was like the head honchos, so to speak. You had O'Neill Gross, all of them hanging out there. So I worked the games, and when I seen that happen, I got involved socially of doing it. And it took a while before I got brought down to my knees with it. And basically, I have an addictive personality. So it wasn't just drugs. I had a gambling problem, you know. I could go down the line of a lot of drinking, you name it. Whatever I did it in excess, whatever it was. And even in that lifestyle that I lived, I did it in excess. Yeah, I made everybody know that if you mess with me, there's a good chance you're not going to be around to mess with anybody else. That's just how it was for me. So the drugs came gradually, and then little by little by little, you know, I say it this way. I said, I got involved with drugs. I started selling drugs, and then before you know it, the drugs were selling me. And that's just basically to sum up. I got involved with snorting coke. I got involved with selling coke. I got involved with the coke selling me. And then when I lost everything, my reputation was still there, but the mob couldn't associate with me so much because I ended up getting involved with crack cocaine at that point in time. And that was probably about maybe 10 years later. So that consumed me. And I say today that that's what brought me to my knees.
Make sure to subscribe, go into StephenGillen.com and sign up for more wonderful content to expedite, help, and support you on your own personal journey of success.